process.
You have to try and put yourself into their realities. Try and see things from their perspective.
How do you remove your own objective? Because you have your own reality and you have your own, well, I say objective truth, but there is no objective truth. But you're going into it with your version of reality, trying to understand.
Yeah. So what I never do is try and the interesting thing is, you know, as I mentioned that you have your internal map of reality, as do I.
Yeah.
If you and I watched a TV program now, and at the end of the program we were asked about what we'd seen, we'd have very different views.
Yeah.
Because it would be played through that internal map. So our perceptions of that TV program are being filtered against that map.
That's really interesting, actually, because one of the things that you often see with crime programs and anything to do with witness testimony, and it's pretty much been proven that it's unreliable.
Yeah.
And is that grounded in the fact because everybody has a different perception of reality from the start?
Yeah, absolutely.
And our interpretation of events is different. So there's no absolute truth.
There's no absolute truth.
Oh, that's
there's no absolute truth. There's no such thing as perfection either.
No.
You know, if perfection existed, then none of us would be doing anything because we can't improve on what we have.
Exactly.
So what's the point of working?
My brain's just gone off because I love stuff like this where it really makes you think about how this plays into life and everything, and not just with drug addiction and alcohol. It triggers a lot of things with like people's buying habits and people spending everything.
Yeah.
Because a perception of reality is grounded in different values.
Yeah. Well, you go off and buy a pair of shoes. You decide you need a new pair of shoes. In your head, you've got an image already. Right? So what are you doing? You're going into the shops and you're looking at the shoes.
Yeah.
But unconsciously, your unconscious is filtering everything. So it's got, you know, you've got that image.
Yeah.
They've got to be brown. Okay, none of those are brown. Don't need any of those. So it'll lead you over there. There's the brown ones. Okay, you go to the brown ones, and then other filters will come in because you've probably set a budget.
Yes.
Yeah. So all of this filtering goes on all the time, but it's unconscious.
Yeah, you naturally and that's one of the things where you go out and then my son would go, "Oh, look at that, Dad, in that coat," and I'll look at it and I'll go, "Eh."
Yeah.
Because you like you said, you're just predisposed. It's not part of my criteria of what I need to be looking for.
Exactly. It's not part of your criteria, and a lot of the time it's not part of your criteria for life, for how you want to live your life.
And is that where you have then, you're going to need, I'm going to make the assumption that you need different approaches to different clients when it comes to the NLP, because you have to understand their reality first, and is that why you go through that process?
You have to try and put yourself into their realities, try and see things from their perspective.
How do you remove your own objective? Because you have your own reality and you have your own, well, I say objective truth, but there is no objective truth. But you're going into it with your version of reality, trying to understand.
Yeah. So what I never do is try and play my perception of reality through their eyes. You know, it's all about suspending judgment.
Yeah.
And if I don't suspend judgment, then if I'm dealing with, for example, a paedophile, my own sense of values and things would come into play.
Yeah.
So I have to suspend it.
Yeah.
So I have to try and see things from that person's perspective.
To understand the root cause.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you'll end up clouding yourself and you'll never actually be willing to walk the path to get you to the point that...
Yeah. I've said for a long time, I'd love to get into someone like Hitler's head and find out what it was that turned him from a house painter in Austria to a megalomaniac trying to annihilate half of Europe.
And it's mad how that and the ambition to do that, how they coexist,
and they do. Your
quite well.
Your unconscious manages it very well.
Quite well. But that's obviously based on, and I'm slowly starting to understand why, is because his reality is it's almost like when they do a Marvel and the multiverse, and there's different worlds. His world is completely different to mine, even though we're sitting across from the sofa.
Yeah.
And that shift in perspective and those fundamental different realities